Hello friends of RadicalResilience.health. On the 8th of September we presented a presentation at the Road Church which was entitled Getting Prepared. Basically we focused on the rule of threes, which says that you can only live for about 3 minutes without air. You can live for about 3 hours without shelter, depending upon how cold it is outside and what the outside weather conditions are. You can live without 3 days for water, and you can live for about 3 weeks without having food. So we covered each one of those areas. One of the areas that we didn't cover was defending yourself in the event of a crisis. And from what we've seen, as demonstrated here by the mayor of Asheville, defending yourself in the event of a crisis is critical.
I want to share with y'all some things you may not know about what's happening in the North Carolina mountains in the aftermath of Helene. Here's number one. If you have friends or family that are headed into the mountains or who live there, the looting has picked up major steam. I was advised yesterday by a county sheriff to make sure that anybody out and about is carrying, and in his words, carrying with the safety off. There are very aggressive people out there, and I'm just going to go ahead and say this. It's not because they're necessarily awful. They're desperate. Desperate people do desperate things, y'all.
You know, in a mass social collapse, most people will be able to keep only what they can defend. This includes their lives, their homes, their food, their money, and if they're male, it even includes such things as their wives and their children. This is a thought that may disturb many people who are doing serious emergency planning. Many members of our community do not have a survivalist background or mindset, and they've never had any reason to think about physically defending that which is precious to them. A major disaster may change all that, just as it may change nearly everything else in the world for those living through it. In an orderly, productive society with a stable division of labor, the harsh reality of life are not so obvious. You have laws that most people obey, and you have professional police who enforce those laws. It's their job to defend the lives and property of the average citizen. If there's any violence to be done in that defense, the police are supposed to handle it. The average person never has to consider defending what is his unless he is personally threatened by a criminal. The threat of force by the police keeps order in the society and tends to discourage aggressive criminal behavior. It also tends to hide a basic truth about the nature of human relations. In recent years, there has been a call for defunding the police force or limiting its ability to effectively defend those areas within their job description. What this means to you is that your protection has been diminished, and in the event of a crisis might not exist at all. In a massive social collapse, law and public order breaks down, and the truth about human rights is revealed. An individual has rights only as long as he can defend them. This is the subtle logic of violence. This has always been true, but it is something to which most of us have never given a moment's thought. It's also a concept which makes some Christians uncomfortable because it contradicts much of the illusions by which we have lived all our lives. However, unless you understand and accept the basic facts of life, you may not survive the coming challenges. If a disaster crashes down upon us, it will destroy all the illusions and most of the rules which we have lived by for the past hundreds of years. It will create harsh new rules. When the fundamental order of a social change and new rules arise, those who fail to understand the new rules will suffer the most. There's a reason I've given you this information so far. It may save your life. Why? Because it's not just having a weapon that's important, or even knowing how to use one. It's knowing full well why you need to use it, and therefore not hesitating to use it when you need to. A gun in your hands is totally worthless against an assailant unless you are fully willing to use it to defend yourself. You must understand the new rules brought on by a major disaster, which may require you to defend your life or your property. The information here has been for the average Christian. It's essentially one average Christian speaking to another who has seen the violence of war and been in a position where it has been either kill or be killed. Most of you are not survivalists, and we have not had much experience with guns. You have no particular interest in, and preciously little time to learn about exotic weapons with foreign-sounding names. You need basic information about basic weapons that work dependably and don't cost a whole lot. In a bad scenario, it is not likely that things will deteriorate into some kind of violent chaos. The most likely worst-case scenario is one in which there will be unrest and martial law in the urban areas and far less order than we're accustomed anywhere else. Desperate people, as said earlier, take desperate chances. The base emotions become prominent in many people's behavior, and hunger, cold, lust, greed, and fear take charge of people's actions. You probably won't have to worry about roving gangs, but your concern will be one or two people breaking into your house for food or whatever may be available, stealing vegetables from your garden or firewood from your woodpile. This is what you'll need to defend against, and this is something you can handle. The best weapon for home defense is a shotgun with a short barrel. There are 3 reasons for this. First, there's nothing scarier than looking down the big bore of a shotgun. Second, when you fire a shotgun at close range, it's impossible to miss. You're going to hit what you're aiming at. And third, when you hit someone with a shotgun, he or she doesn't get up and come at you. In this video, we are not going to cover which weapons you should buy or get trained on for your home defense. There are greater experts out there than me. But suffice it to say that for home defense, a shotgun always works well, or some kind of a revolver that won't jam on you when you need it. Other than that, defending yourself in a crisis really takes a mental attitude. You have to decide that your life is worthwhile, or those of your loved ones, or the things that you're going to have that are going to keep them alive through the crisis. You will have to decide whether you are indeed going to defend it or just let it go and suffer the consequences. So, thanks for joining me today. This is Glenn Holloway with RadicalResilience.health. I hope you have a great day. Get prepared for what may come. You never know, as we've seen this last week with the hurricane and all the things that are going on with that. But we do know this, that God loves us, so God bless and have a great day.